right. What's going on? Playing a little bit of ACR. Down about a buy-in to start this video. And hopefully it records smooth. Just eating some pancakes. Finished a little study session earlier. Here we go. So we got 2.5 here. It's full. Was studying some small line versus button, 3-bet pots, mainly flop play. So this is a shorter stack here from the US. I'm going to go ahead and jump to some conclusions that they're a bit of a weaker player. Got owned by this guy pretty much, blasted off to him. This guy named Frigoff, which is what I should have done in the spot I had just played, but I don't know. Something about this side, it just I always feel compelled to go ballistic. I don't know. I'm just kidding, kind of. This guy, I don't know. It might be a bot, might be something else. When he cold calls here, it's a condensed range. So I think on this type of board, primarily you'd want to be playing big bet or check versus that type of range. I think this hand, although it should mix, is pretty nice to put into the big bet strategy. So. And then here, going to raise to 10 big blinds. This is a fold. Snap call, we get 10, 9, 5, 2, rainbow. So I think this will be like the one hand that I trap pretty much. I mean, I would trap it even less with the ace of hearts, but here we'll just roll for it. Yeah, we're gonna check. And then here, I have no reads on this player. Looks like they're from Kazakhstan. Here, we're gonna check as well. The likelihood that they reopen the action on this card is quite low, so I think it's best to start putting money in. And then here, facing a big bet, I will lean towards call. I will check here. I wouldn't play leads on the deuce as much because a lot of the deuce X is going into my check raise range. And then here, I just bet a normal size. This is like, whatever. Oh wow, I get snap called by sevens. This is I don't know what that was. I think this is not a good spot to call actually, and probably better to raise. Versus 3 big blinds. Well, actually, I'm going to raise here, and then versus 3 big blinds here, I'm going to mix, and I like raise. So, oh, whoops. And then here, going to fold. This line is ludicrous in my opinion, but I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Just to go over the action again, it was like, what was it? Shit. let me focus on this, and then we'll go over that last hand I just played. Ace King 6. I'm gonna go ahead and range bet this board. Get a snap fold. Versus presumably a weaker player, I think that I would like to just bet this hand and not. There's not much benefit into like putting into the check region. Like your checking range would be slightly stronger, but I don't expect them to stab all that often on this type of board, especially not for a larger size. So I think I can go either way. I'm gonna check here. Here, fold. And then on the 9, I think it's best to bet this hand myself instead of trying bluff catch versus a fish. I don't expect a fish to have like tons and tons of bluffs after the turn. Like I think a lot of like having the diamond is pretty bad for me to like try and check and bluff catch. And then I think like some queen jack type stuff might always stab turn, so it's kind of hard to make money bluff catching there in my opinion. Here versus Bozant from Hungary. Gonna play big better check on a 12. I'm gonna check back, but this is like really infrequent. And when they snap for this small size, this is not a good size actually. So what I'm gonna do is raise, and then here 11. Raise this. 6 would be a fold. Okay, you know, you don't like slow rolling, I understand, but when people are doing this fucking ludicrous shit versus me, they've kind of earned themselves a little bit of a slow roll. Let me go ahead and go. Of course he has the nuts as well. What a fucking loser this guy is. Whatever, you know, no comment. It's just like people peddling the nuts on this site for the most part. I feel like it's like what other hand, right? Like what other hand is like snap B75. This is like the sizings were all miserably bad too. You know, here I am moaning in my own video about my opponent's line, but like, yeah, flop was like the turn probe was, you know, slightly small. I mean, I guess you could build a strategy around that, like, but you know, my check back region is like having a really nice time pretty much versus the versus can always call here. My check back region is just having a really nice time versus like B75 on the turn. When I have a strong hand, I'm going to put more money in. Here this is going to fold. I'm going to have to give this guy a tag at some point. He's playing, he's fucking way out of line. Anyway, yeah, it goes B75, raise, call, here, fold, and then here, this hand's going to be a mix for me. On a 5, I will call. So check, fold, It's a pretty fast check right there. I think I like betting this hand. Should I use the B50? I'm gonna use a full pot size. I think you could go larger. I think this hand can go nicely into this size. And then here, facing a limp. I like using the 7 big blind size. I'm sort of been accustomed to the size, but like this hand would 3-bet. So, and then with the king of diamonds is actually a nice spot to bluff catch. Okay, I guess they have ace 10 of clubs. So I was gonna say with the king of diamonds, it's like you have like you're unblocking some of the hands that are gonna float the turn and then have to bluff the river. So, you know, those are, you know, that's at least what my gut is telling me here. Versus this player, I am gonna 3-bet. I feel like this guy's a little bit weaker. Like he's sort of clicking buttons for the most part. So okay, we got only 11 minutes in here. Yeah, there's really nothing that tilts me quite like the old donk jam with the goods. It's like, come on, brother. Just try, like, why don't you just try and play a reasonable strategy? I play flats here, so this hand will do some flatting. I'll do some 3-betting as well. In this occasion, I will 3-bet. I mean, yeah. This size is slightly too large, and this hand would not want to be doing much calling at all, even versus like a normal size. So we'll fold. I think 3 table is good. I changed my streaming setup here a little bit, so I think it's running fairly smooth, all things considered. Versus 2.5. This hand I have always playing as a call versus 3. I'm going to play this as a pure call versus 2.5 as well. And 6-4 deuce. Rainbow. So this isn't like a range bet for out of position, but it's a very high frequency check. Or I mean range check for out of position, but it's a very high frequency check. For in position, we can stab, we can do a number of things. I think with king 9, it can go either way. I'm going to opt to check this one back on a 40. And then we could stab turn. So I think if they are range checking, so on this turn, I'm going to call this small probe, and then we're going to play some interesting rivers. Make king here, and we're going to go for an overbet. I think when I make my hand here, there's a lot of ace high. Like I don't really get a ton of credit. Do I? Yeah, I think this guy having the profile that he does, going to be doing a lot of bluff catching. We'll just go to 7 big blinds here versus this shorter stack. This is an interesting spot, so I'll go ahead and look at that BVB. 6-4 deuce rainbow, and I had king 9 offsuit. I think king of diamonds, 9 of clubs. Right. The reason I float turn, like the small turn stab there, or turn. Oh wow. This is 2.5 is going to mix. It'll be a fold, and I'll call here. Yeah, nice. The reason I call versus the small delay stab there, or the small delayed, what's it called? C-bet there, is having the king of diamonds quite nice. So there's a number of rivers that I can bluff, and you know, obviously I have some pair outs. I think raising is also quite good, but I think raising, calling, and then folding would probably be the order in which I would prefer to play that hand. Jack 10 is going to fold on 37. But we'll see what the strategy is after the session. So I'll put a little two-parter in and just do like a hand review of a couple of these spots, maybe 1 or 2 spots. Just thinking about playing on Bet Online. If any of you play on BOL, let me know what your thoughts are. I guess it's Chico Network, so maybe it's like iPoker if you're in Europe or something. Here in the US, it's Bet Online. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, and yeah, if it's worth grinding it out there. All right, we're definitely going to be doing some 3-betting here. 12. Here I will fold. Queen 8-8. This is kind of a trickier one. So you could bet small. I think I like betting small. You could even bet half pot. Betting half pot with this hand is actually pretty decent. Having the ace of spades. You call by worst ace high. You have 6 outs to like a small pair versus small pair. I don't anticipate a ton of raising from my opponent. You do have to be careful. Like, you can't always bet this hand. I think in this specific situation, betting is pretty nice. Especially if my opponent is like stabbing quite a lot. Even for a small size, my hand is like not really preferring that. Did I win money? I think I've won money. I think I have won money this session, which is like such a rare occasion for me on this fucking site that you know, this means to celebrate, honestly. Here, going to open the King Jack. See how long this has been going. Around 19 minutes. So I'll go about one more orbit on each table, and we can look at the flop strategy for small blind versus cutoff. 3-bet pot, queen, 8-8 two-tone. think the suits were they that important? Not really. Yeah, I kind of remember what I had. So ace king off, no backdoor, or no big deal. And we can look at those hands after I finish this. Just call me Yi. I like that name. Fold. All right, we get the walk with queens. That's unfortunate. Queen 8 is going to be doing some opening here. Fold. And this is going to fold as well. And then I'll put out, sit out big blind, so we will sit out after this orbit. No time bank on any of these tables. Unfortunately, I can't like leave and come back because these are like the only 3 tables running or something like that. There might be one other table running, but it's unlikely I leave and then get back on the table quickly. So I'll just eat it and it's fine. All right, we open and we get called. This guy's from Andorra. I'm not exactly sure where that is. Queen 10, 6. This hand is really close between a bunch of different things. I think on a 19 I'm going to check, but this could also go into an overbet or a small bet. My opponent's going to have to play a big better check. That's at least the theoretical strategy. This size is okay as well. With a 6, I think it's pretty nice to call. Maybe we get the king. I think with the 6 of hearts, it's actually not that nice. And it's like, if I bet here, do they... They might fold a 10, right? They might fold a 10 or a queen. I don't think they fold a queen. I think they might fold a 10. So I think queen jack, snap checking back. This hand is like ready to bluff catch anything on the river. And I think that's like the bulk of his range. So at least in the in that line with that timing. So like snap checking back the turn, like to me that's basically saying like I mean well that is pretty much saying I have like a 10 or a jack or a queen, right? And I'm ready to show down. So I don't know if you have like the most fold equity in that line as out of position. Is it worth never bluffing? No, because then like obviously really easy to counter that strategy. Like just like always fold facing a bet, and then yeah, you feel very good when your opponent checks. Okay. So I'm gonna end this video here, or this portion of the video here, and go ahead and post the analysis afterwards, and we can look at that other BVB spot as well. So yeah, I will be right back. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna make this a two-parter with a little bit of an analysis at the end. So just played a little session here. I got 3 hands that we can look at. 2 are BBB, so we're gonna knock those out first, and then small versus cutoff 3-bit pot as well. These will be sort of just like overviews. And I think so. This first hand was Queen 4 Deuce, Rainbow, or I mean 6-4 Deuce, Rainbow, small blind versus button, and I think I'd made a comment in game like you don't need to play a range check as out of position here, which is evident by the solution. But there are a lot of these types of boards where you would play a range check, mainly the ones where like you have an in position has like some offsuit combo that out of position can't have, so like 5-4 offsuit, for instance. But even here, like you're just checking more. Eventually, like you might want to simplify it to range check. But anyway, here the action goes check. We have King 9 offsuit. I'm not exactly sure what to do with my combo. I'm trying to think. King of diamonds, 9 of clubs, I think, right? So I think when you're blocking the suits on the board, you'll start to stab a bit more. But then, just having the king of a suit on the board is pretty nice. But mainly checking. A good rule of thumb on these boards, like these lower boards where out of position has to check a ton, is that as in position, your global check back frequency is around 50%. So bear that in mind. My hand doing some betting, mainly checking. We go ahead and check back. And then we get the deuce of, I want to say it's like a, I messed this up. So we're going to do 4 diamonds, deuce of hearts, and then deuce of diamonds. So this brings in the backdoor diamonds, and our opponent blocks. Important to see what the block is sort of built around. We can look at filters and get an idea of what it's looking like. So it looks like mainly like 5s, 4 or like 4x, maybe some ace king region. Not that large of a portion of your range, so smaller portion overall of your range, and then you're protecting it. You have I think that's the most important takeaway, is that like if you're going to play the small size, like you need to put some strong hands into the small size as well. So like namely overpairs, strong top pair. You have to put some nuts into the range as well, but I mean, like these are such a small portion of the range that it's more important for your opponent to be hitting these benchmarks here, like trips, overpairs, top pairs. So they're gonna have these more often than not. So facing B33. We can go look, and this combo with the king of diamonds is doing quite a bit of calling. What I don't exactly know why this is the case. Like, I do kind of, but I don't know with like 100% certainty. My thoughts right now at least, are that a lot of these flush draws are going to be going into a larger bet size. So it does look like that's the case. And when they have a hand, so that's, oh wow. So I guess that does make sense when they have a hand like King Queen, right? We're obviously losing to King Queen, but they've gone and put it into B33. So we're blocking this hand that is ahead of us, and then we're drawing live versus a lot of the value region. So that's interesting. So having the King of Diamonds, or actually quite nice. I can't, obviously, you watched me play the hand. Those weren't my exact thoughts. My thoughts in game were like, okay, I have the King of Diamonds. This size is weak, so I guess in that respect, I did sort of assume the correct, or make sort of the correct assumption of just like, a lot of 6x, a lot of like weaker pairs, some 4x, just some random overcards. Like they can put a lot into this small size that is just like basically garbage. And when the flush comes in, having the King of Diamonds is quite nice. The 9 of Clubs, I'm not sure makes much difference, but yeah, I guess in theory it would. I don't know. We don't need to get so bogged down in the minutia. We will call here, and then just to see the river strategy. Small bet. Our opponent is playing B50 or check, so this tends to be the case after they have delayed c-bet for a small size on the turn. Their range isn't particularly strong, but here they check, and then we're using basically the same sizes. So I think in game I was sort of having like this thought of like, okay, like my instinct was just to use B150 or B125, but this is like more of like an exploitative consideration. Like obviously you want to bet your hand, but B50 seems like it's a more appropriate size since you've been given the option to bet strong hands on the flop and raise them on the turn facing a small bet. Your range is not all that strong when you get to this river. Like you don't have many hands that want to bet humongous. So yeah, I did use the B125 size though. This is basically because I was playing versus like sort of like a odd opponent that was doing some interesting things versus me. So I figured they might station more than they would overfold. So they're more likely to be a station than someone who is folding too much. All right, let's go and look at this other spot here. I forget exactly what it was. So let me give you some Queen of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, 6 of Clubs. And we'll look at the flop strategy. Nice. Okay, so in this hand, this is another BVB spot. Queen of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, 6 of Clubs. We had Ace-6 offsuit, Ace of Spades, 6 of Hearts. So this is the exact combo. We checked on a low roll versus an unknown. So just basically trying to mimic some sort of theoretical strategy, at least. But yeah, I think I'd made a point of talking about how this type of hand can go into any size. If it goes into the larger size, it's basically bluffing. Like it basically starts bluffing when it goes into the B130. But I opted to check, and the opponent's strategy after check is a lot of large betting. So they chose a B75, which is pretty good size. Um, and, we could definitely raise our hand versus this size. I think I was a little bit more careful in game. That's sort of just like my instinct, is to not play back as hard at these like larger stabs. But I don't think it's necessarily that good. It might actually be like there might be some overfold versus a check raise in this node when your opponent is stabbing large. But it's hard for me to say. I mean, another thing to consider is like how often they need to bluff air, and then how often they have air, right? So like they need to bluff some of this crap. I don't know if they're doing that. So I'm sorry. The only reason I'm bringing up this stuff about it, bluffing air, is like their range is pretty strong, but I don't think it really makes much difference, right? If like our objective when we check raise is to get them to fold strong hands, then it doesn't really matter. Like they have queen jack. Like say we can make some 10x in difference. Say they're putting 10x into this like B75 range. They're making sort of a mistake. And we can, punish that by check raising a bit more. So our hand has the option to check raise. It also has the option to call. Never going to fold. It's too strong of a hand. I think check raising is actually pretty nice. But anyway, we get the king of diamonds turn. Goes check, check. This is something I was a little bit worried about, is like that there would be some sort of donk strategy here for as out of position. I was not sure at all in game that this would be like the case, but I guess looking at it here, like this is a card that in position is going to be doing a lot of checking on. So if I had the GTOW AI, I would lock this strategy to range check, and we'd see the in-position betting strategy. So after they probe, we're given the option to donk here. When we don't, they can bet more frequently, but they're still checking quite a bit. And having to be careful since ace jack and jack nine have now come in, and this board is quite dynamic and good for out of position. So it goes check, and then he snap checks queen jack. Makes a lot of sense. I think at this point in the hand, like I expect it's hard. Like I expect bluffs to be doing some tanking and like considering like should I bluff this turn or not, sort of like that type of thinking. But like when they snap check back, to me this is like, okay, they have a queen, they have a 10, or they have like some hand that obviously really wants to realize, so maybe like ace x farts. Then we get the brick river. Right, it's okay checking. And yeah, they snap check back, so it seems like it's probably a little bit of a tighter player, given that they should at least consider betting a queen on the river. Anyway, I think we'll save this hand for another time, since I guess it's just the flop, so let's go ahead and take a look. No, we'll save it for another time. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. This is a longer video, so hopefully it does okay. Playing on ACR, it's usually pretty fun. So thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know any hands you'd play differently. How would you play them? That type of stuff. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow. Hey guys, a little bonus material for you here. A couple people I know through online poker actually, have been working on this web-based application called MDA Demon. Basically, as the name suggests, it's using mass data analysis to give you an idea of how you should play. And I thought it would be interesting to analyze this Queen 10 hand through like an MDA lens. So here we have Queen 10-6, two-tone, BVB, single raise pot. I'm the pre-flop caller here. I check, and this is the response versus check. So we have the different data sets here, and I've chosen the combined GG regular data set to get an idea of how regulars are playing versus check on a lot of these boards, or in general, but then also you can, like, this is the aggregate, right? But you can check different flop textures. So here, Queen 10-6, that's a 2 Broadway flop. So this this type of board type, we have the GG regular range composition up top, and then the GTO range composition below that. So on the flop, we check and we face B75. It looks like, we don't get an idea. Since this is still in beta, I'm unsure of how to filter by bet sizing. But we can get an idea of the types of hands they're betting, and it looks like it's a lot of second pair, top pair. They might have slightly too much second pair. I don't know if this is necessarily going into the B75 or like a larger bet strategy, but typically on these boards, on these 2 Broadway boards, the strategy is to bet larger. So my assumption is that this is probably, within those bet sizes. So this definitely increases the EV of check raising a hand like Ace-6, right? Because they're just slightly too merged. Taking this polar size, they're slightly too more merged with these types of hands in their range, a little bit too often. So just an interesting thing to consider on the flop here, that check raise might outperform check call. And we can go ahead and look at the river action too. So check, and then I guess we just assume that they're checking back. So check, check, and we get to the river in the check down line. And yeah, so I think this is still currently being worked on. They're going to give me a little bit of a walkthrough on Monday, so next week, on how this thing works. And I'm sure they're slowly kneading out the kinks, but this is definitely very cool, a very cool application. Basically web-based hand to note type stuff you can do with this. Really interested in seeing where this goes for them. So yeah, I'm just want to showcase this and show them some love for sending me the beta. And kind of go over the flop strategy through like an MDA lens. I'm going to put their Discord in the description, and I'll put other information as well in the description of this video. If you like what you're seeing here, like this application, definitely join their Discord or ping me or whatever, or comment asking for more info. So, all right, thanks.